The deep space exploration vessel Horizon drifted silently through the outer reaches of the Carina Nebula, its quantum sensors probing the darkness for signs of intelligent life. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes reflecting the distant stars. After 6 months of routine surveys, the mission had yielded nothing but empty space and stellar phenomena. Until now. Captain, we're detecting unusual electromagnetic signatures from the Carina 7 system. Lieutenant Marcus Wong reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The pattern is structured, definitely artificial. Sarah moved to the sensor station, studying the rhythmic pulses that scrolled across the screen. Unlike traditional radio signals or subspace communications, these were complex matrices of electromagnetic energy that seemed to fold in upon themselves in mathematically precise patterns. Analysis, she asked, though she already knew this was something unprecedented. Dr. Emily Patel, the ship's xenobiologist, had already begun running the patterns through the ship's comprehensive database of known species. Nothing matches, Captain. But these aren't random emissions. They're too ordered, too precise. If I had to guess, I'd say we're looking at a completely new form of communication. The Horizon's AI projected a 3-dimensional representation of the signal pattern above the bridge's central console. It twisted and spiraled like a DNA helix made of lightning, each pulse carrying what appeared to be layers of encoded information. "Take us in closer," Sarah ordered, "but maintain our distance until we can determine the source's nature." As the Horizon approached the outer edges of the Carina 7 system, the crew's initial excitement gave way to growing concern. The star at the system's center was behaving erratically, its corona pulsing with dangerous levels of radiation. Stellar analysis revealed what the indigenous civilization must have already known. The star was dying, but not in any natural way. The stellar core is experiencing some kind of cascade reaction, Chief Engineer David Rodriguez explained during the emergency briefing. It's as if something is accelerating the fusion process, causing the star to burn through its fuel at an exponentially increasing rate. At this pace, it'll go nova within 5 years. The source of the electromagnetic communications became clear as they entered the system's inner orbital paths. A civilization of beings that appeared to be composed of crystalline carbon structures had built massive arrays of energy collectors around their homeworld. These weren't weapons or power generators. They were desperately trying to stabilize their dying star. First contact occurred not through traditional means, but through a brilliant display of human adaptability. Dr. Patel discovered that the crystalline beings, who called themselves the Meridians, could interface directly with electromagnetic fields. The Horizon science team rigged a crude communication system using modified shield emitters, allowing them to speak through controlled electromagnetic pulses. The Meridian story emerged through these exchanges, each pulse carrying centuries of history and desperation. They were an ancient species, having achieved spaceflight long before humans had mastered fire. But their technological development had followed a completely different path from most known civilizations. Rather than focusing on physical tools and machines, they had learned to manipulate energy fields and quantum states directly through their crystalline bodies. Their current crisis had begun when they detected the first signs of their star's deterioration. Despite their profound understanding of energy manipulation, they had been unable to prevent the cascade reaction that was now threatening to destroy their entire civilization. The other spacefaring races they had contacted had dismissed their plight, seeing no strategic or economic value in helping a species whose technology they couldn't understand or replicate. Through the electromagnetic exchanges, Sarah sensed something that transcended the language barrier: hope. The Meridians had nearly resigned themselves to extinction, but the arrival of these strange organic beings who communicated through crude sound waves and relied on physical technology had rekindled their will to survive. "We're going to help you," Sarah transmitted through the electromagnetic array. The response was immediate, a complex burst of energy that their systems interpreted as equal parts disbelief and desperate gratitude. As the Horizon's crew began detailed scans of the dying star, Sarah composed her report to Earth Command. She knew the response she would receive. Helping the Meridians would require resources and technology that humanity had never deployed on such a scale. It would be expensive, dangerous, and might not even work. But Sarah Chen had seen something in the Meridians that reminded her of humanity's own journey to the stars, an unwillingness to accept defeat, even in the face of cosmic inevitability. That alone made them worth saving. "Send the transmission," she ordered, her voice firm with conviction, "and begin preliminary calculations for a stellar containment field. We're not letting another civilization die on our watch." As the message streaked toward Earth at superluminal speeds, Sarah watched the Meridians whirl through the observation window. Its surface sparkled with the reflected light of millions of crystalline beings, each one now harboring a dangerous emotion they had almost forgotten: hope. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with tension as holographic displays showed the deteriorating Meridian star system. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives, her voice steady despite the weight of her proposal. "The Meridians aren't just facing a natural stellar evolution," she explained, gesturing to the swirling representation of the dying star. "Something is actively accelerating their star's fusion process. If we don't intervene, an entire civilization will be lost." The council members exchanged uncomfortable glances. Admiral Hassan was the first to speak, his weathered face creased with concern. "Captain, what you're proposing would be the largest engineering project humanity has ever attempted. The resources required would be substantial," Sarah interrupted, "but the potential benefits are immeasurable. The Meridians' understanding of electromagnetic manipulation and quantum states surpasses anything we've encountered. Their technology followed a completely different evolutionary path than ours." Dr. Emily Patel stepped forward, pulling up detailed scans of the Meridian technology. "Their energy collectors don't just gather power. They can influence quantum states at a stellar scale. We've never seen anything like it, but they lack our understanding of physical engineering and material science. Together, we might be able to achieve what neither civilization could do alone." The council chamber erupted in overlapping conversations. The Meridians' crisis had become the most debated topic in human space. Some saw it as humanity's chance to prove itself as a major galactic power. Others warned of the risks of interfering with stellar dynamics on such a massive scale. Meanwhile, aboard the Horizon, Chief Engineer Rodriguez and his team worked around the clock with their Meridian counterparts. The challenge was unprecedented. They needed to construct a network of quantum stabilization arrays that could essentially reprogram the star's fusion reactions at the subatomic level. "It's like trying to redirect a river by controlling each individual water molecule," Rodriguez explained to his team, his hands covered in holographic schematics. "The Meridians can manipulate quantum states, but they can't build the physical infrastructure needed to contain and direct that level of energy. That's where we come in." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Wang, studying historical records of Earth's nuclear fusion research, discovered a theoretical paper from the early 21st century that had been dismissed as impossible at the time. The mathematics suggested a way to create self-sustaining quantum fields that could influence nuclear fusion reactions. The theory was sound, Wang explained during a late-night briefing. But we lacked the technology to generate and control fields of that magnitude. The Meridians don't have that limitation. They just never thought to apply their abilities this way because their entire technological development followed a different path. As the human engineers and scientists worked to adapt centuries of fusion research into something new, the Meridians began sharing more of their own knowledge. Through their electromagnetic communications, they revealed insights into quantum mechanics that would have won multiple Nobel Prizes on Earth. The collaboration was transforming both civilizations' understanding of the universe. But not everyone supported the project. A delegation of representatives from the Galactic Concordat arrived at Earth, their message clear: interfering with stellar evolution violated their principles of natural cosmic order. They warned that humanity's reputation would suffer if they proceeded with this reckless endeavor. Sarah Chen's response became legendary in diplomatic circles. Standing before the alien representatives, she activated a hologram showing Earth's history of natural disasters, technological catastrophes, and near extinctions. Humanity's greatest achievements came from refusing to accept what others called natural or inevitable, she declared. We've survived by helping each other overcome the impossible. We didn't cross the stars to watch civilizations die when we could help them live. The Concordat representatives left unsatisfied, but their warnings had the opposite effect of what they'd intended. Human volunteers flooded the project from every corner of settled space. Engineers, scientists, and workers united in a common cause, to prove that humanity's greatest strength was its unwillingness to accept defeat. In orbit around the Meridian homeworld, construction began on the first quantum stabilization array. It was an impossible merger of human industrial engineering and Meridian energy manipulation technology. The structure looked like a massive crystalline web, each node containing technology that hadn't existed months earlier. Sarah watched the construction through the Horizon's observation window, accompanied by a Meridian elder whose electromagnetic pulses conveyed a mixture of amazement and gratitude. Your people are unlike any we've encountered, the elder transmitted. Where others saw our differences as a reason to abandon us, you saw them as an opportunity to create something new. That's what humans do, Sarah replied through the electromagnetic interface. We take the impossible and turn it into a challenge, and we're just getting started. As the first array took shape against the backdrop of the dying star, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Humanity had come to the stars wondering if they could compete with ancient, advanced civilizations. Now they were proving that their greatest contribution to the galaxy might not be their technology or their resources, but their unshakable determination to help others survive. The construction zone around the Meridian star blazed with activity as thousands of human workers and their crystalline allies raced against time. The quantum stabilization array had grown from a single experimental structure into a vast network of interconnected platforms, each one a testament to the unprecedented collaboration between two radically different civilizations. Chief Engineer Rodriguez stood in the control center of Platform Alpha, surrounded by holographic displays showing the project's progress. The engineering challenges were staggering. Each platform had to withstand the intense radiation and gravitational forces of the dying star while maintaining precise quantum alignment with its neighbors. We've got a phase variance in Sector 7, called out Engineer Jessica Torres, her fingers dancing across the control interface. A holographic display highlighted a section of the array where the quantum fields were beginning to destabilize. In the old days, such a problem would have meant weeks of repairs and adjustments. But this was no ordinary construction project. A group of Meridian engineers, their crystalline forms pulsing with electromagnetic energy, moved into position around the affected sector. Through their natural ability to manipulate quantum states, they began fine-tuning the fields at a subatomic level, achieving in minutes what would have taken human technology alone days to accomplish. The integration of human and Meridian technologies had produced innovations that neither civilization had dreamed possible. Human manufacturing techniques created the physical frameworks that could channel and direct the Meridian's natural quantum manipulation abilities. The result was a system that could actually influence the fundamental forces driving stellar fusion. It's like conducting an orchestra where each musician is playing with atomic nuclei instead of instruments, Dr. Paddle explained to a group of new arrivals. The Meridians provide the fine control, while our technology provides the structure and scale needed to affect an entire star. But the project faced more than just technical challenges. The intense radiation from the deteriorating star was taking its toll on both human and Meridian workers. Even with advanced shielding, exposure times had to be strictly limited. The human medical team, led by Dr. James Chen, worked around the clock to develop new radiation treatments, while the Meridians shared their own techniques for energy absorption and deflection. The breakthrough came when someone suggested combining the approaches. Human biological medicine and Meridian energy manipulation techniques merged into a new form of radiation protection. Workers could now stay on site longer, accelerating the construction process dramatically. Sarah Chen had relocated her command center to Platform Alpha, coordinating the vast fleet of construction ships that ferried materials and workers between the platforms. The scale of the operation was unprecedented. Over 50,000 human workers and 15,000 Meridians working in perfect synchronization. Platform 23 reports quantum synchronization achieved, Lieutenant Wang announced, marking another green section on the massive project display. That's 70% of the array now operating at optimal efficiency. But success brought its own problems. The partial activation of the array had begun to influence the star's fusion processes, creating new patterns of radiation and energy that their simulations hadn't fully predicted. The engineering teams had to constantly adapt their designs, sometimes rebuilding entire sections to account for the changing conditions. The Meridian Elder Council, monitoring the project through their quantum-sensitive crystalline bodies, detected something unexpected. The star's quantum state wasn't just being stabilized, it was being fundamentally altered in ways that defied their understanding of stellar physics. "We are witnessing something unprecedented," one elder transmitted, their electromagnetic pulses carrying overtones of wonder. "Your people's willingness to challenge the impossible has led us into unknown territory." The human scientists were equally amazed. The data they were gathering was rewriting their understanding of stellar dynamics. Dr. Patel's team had already published several papers that were revolutionizing humanity's approach to fusion power and quantum mechanics. But time was not on their side. The star's deterioration was accelerating faster than their models had predicted. Platform Beta registered a massive power spike that overloaded its quantum containment systems, resulting in a catastrophic failure that sent debris spinning into space. The accident could have demoralized the workforce. Instead, it galvanized them. Human and Meridian engineers worked without rest, analyzing the failure and developing new safety protocols. The design was modified, the containment systems were strengthened, and construction resumed at an even faster pace. "This is what humanity does best," Sarah told her crew during a brief rest period. "We learn from our failures, we adapt, and we come back stronger." And now we're teaching that same resilience to one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. As the array grew closer to completion, its effect on the star became more pronounced. The massive structure, now spanning millions of kilometers, looked like a glowing web of energy and matter. At its heart, the dying star pulsed with a new rhythm as the quantum stabilization fields began to take hold. Rodriguez stood at his control station, watching the power readings with intense concentration. "We're seeing a 15% reduction in core acceleration," he announced. "The array is working. We're actually doing it." Sarah smiled, remembering all the voices that had said this project was impossible. Looking out at the vast structure that human determination and Meridian wisdom had built together, she knew they were witnessing more than just an engineering miracle. They were proving that the impossible was just a challenge waiting to be overcome. The warning klaxons blared across all frequencies as another solar flare erupted from the Meridian star's surface. The massive plasma ejection lit up space like a second sun, threatening to overwhelm the partially completed sections of the quantum stabilization array. "Emergency shields at maximum." Sarah Chen's voice cut through the chaos on Platform Alpha's bridge. "Divert all non-essential power to the containment fields." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their months of drills paying off as they fought to protect both the construction teams and the vital equipment. The Meridian's crystalline forms pulsed with urgent patterns of electromagnetic energy as they worked to reinforce the shields using their natural abilities. Through their quantum-sensitive bodies, they could feel the star's death throes intensifying. What had once been a gradual decline was now accelerating exponentially. "Captain," Dr. Patel's voice was tense as she analyzed the latest sensor data. "The star's core temperature is rising faster than our models predicted. We've lost another 3 months from our timeline. At this rate, we have less than 6 weeks before total collapse." The news sent ripples of concern through both human and Meridian crews. The quantum stabilization array was only 80% complete, and their most optimistic estimates suggested they needed at least 2 months to finish the critical systems. Chief Engineer Rodriguez hadn't slept in 36 hours, but his mind was racing with calculations. If we reduced the safety margins on the quantum field generators, he suggested, we could speed up the deployment process and risk a catastrophic cascade failure. Lieutenant Wong challenged. One mistake could tear the entire array apart. But Sarah saw something in Rodriguez's eyes. Not recklessness, but the same determined calculation she'd seen in humanity's greatest moments of crisis. What exactly are you proposing, David? The next hour was spent in intense discussion as Rodriguez outlined his plan. The quantum stabilization array didn't need to be complete to begin its work. If they could activate certain key nodes in a specific sequence, they might be able to create a partial containment field that would buy them the time they needed. The Meridian Elder Council, connected through their quantum-linked communication network, analyzed the proposal. Their response was immediate and unanimous. The risk was acceptable given the alternative of certain extinction. Begin the modifications, Sarah ordered. But I want triple redundancy on every critical system. We're taking chances, not gambling blindly. The next 3 weeks pushed both species to their absolute limits. Work shifts extended to 18 hours as teams raced to complete the crucial network nodes. The star's increasing instability meant that every maintenance operation, every supply run, every construction sequence had to be precisely timed between the violent solar eruptions. Human ingenuity found new ways to solve problems that arose hourly. When traditional spacewalks became too dangerous due to radiation, Engineer Torres developed a remote construction system using modified mining drones. When communication systems were disrupted by solar interference, the Meridians taught human technicians to use quantum entanglement as a backup. The cooperation between the species reached new levels of synchronization. Humans learned to interpret the subtle variations in Meridian electromagnetic emissions, while the crystalline beings developed an appreciation for human intuition and improvisation. Together, they achieved construction speeds that would have seemed impossible months earlier. But the star was deteriorating faster than anyone had anticipated. A massive stellar prominence erupted without warning, destroying 2 key platforms and killing 17 human workers and 5 Meridians. The loss was felt deeply by both species, but instead of slowing them down, it spurred them to even greater efforts. Those platforms weren't just metal and energy fields, Sarah reminded her crew during the memorial service. They were built with the hope and determination of 2 civilizations. We honor our fallen by finishing what they helped start. With just 8 days remaining before projected stellar collapse, Rodriguez announced they were ready to attempt early activation of the primary containment grid. The plan was audacious. They would use the Meridian's quantum manipulation abilities to harmonize the incomplete network, while human engineers carefully managed the power distribution to prevent overload. This is going to be like trying to stop a tsunami with a half-built seawall, Rodriguez explained during the final briefing. But sometimes half a wall is better than none. The activation sequence began at 0 hour, station time. Human technicians initiated power-up procedures while Meridian specialists moved into position around key nodes. The star's surface churned with unprecedented violence, as if sensing the attempt to cage its fury. Warning signals screamed across every monitoring station as power levels approached critical limits. The incomplete network groaned under stresses it wasn't fully designed to handle. In the control center, humans and Meridians worked side by side, making split-second adjustments to prevent cascade failures. Node 7 is approaching thermal shutdown, Wong reported, his fingers dancing across multiple control interfaces. Field integrity at 62% and falling. A group of Meridian engineers immediately shifted position, their crystalline forms glowing with intense energy as they worked to stabilize the failing node. The readings fluctuated, then steadied. "It's working," Dr. Patil announced, her voice filled with cautious optimism. Core temperature increase has slowed by 27%. The containment field is holding. Sarah watched the main display as the partial network struggled to contain the dying star's energy. They hadn't stopped the collapse, but they had slowed it, bought themselves precious weeks to complete the full array. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was something humanity had learned long ago. Sometimes survival meant winning one small battle at a time. All teams, maintain current positions, she ordered. We've got our foothold. Now let's build on it. Around her, human and Meridian crews acknowledged the command, united in their determination to complete what they had started. The race wasn't over, but for the first time, the finish line seemed within reach. The completed quantum stabilization array glowed like a constellation against the backdrop of space, its vast network of platforms and energy fields encompassing the Meridian star in a protective embrace. On Platform Alpha's observation deck, Captain Sarah Chen stood with the Meridian High Council, watching as the final power readings stabilized. Core fusion rates are now at sustainable levels, Rodriguez reported, his exhausted face breaking into a smile. Temperature curve is normalizing. We've done it. The star is stable. The announcement triggered celebrations throughout the human fleet and across the Meridian homeworld. After months of desperate work, countless setbacks, and the loss of brave crew members from both species, they had achieved what the Galactic Concordat had deemed impossible. They had saved a star from death. But the project's success had implications far beyond the survival of one civilization. The quantum stabilization technology, born from the merger of human engineering and Meridian energy manipulation, had opened new frontiers in stellar physics. Already, research teams were studying ways to adapt the technology for sustainable fusion power, revolutionary propulsion systems, and even the rehabilitation of other dying stars. The Meridian Elder Council gathered in their traditional crystalline chamber, their bodies pulsing with patterns of joy and gratitude that needed no translation. Your people have changed the course of our history, the High Elder transmitted to Sarah. But more than that, you have changed how we understand the galaxy itself. The Elder's words proved prophetic. News of the project's success spread rapidly through known space, forcing many advanced civilizations to reassess their views of humanity. The species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers had accomplished something none of them had dared to attempt. Diplomatic delegations began arriving from across the galaxy, officially to study the quantum stabilization array, but really to understand the species that had built it. They found humans and Meridians working side by side, each learning from the other's strengths and perspectives. The key was never just the technology, Dr. Paddle explained to a group of alien scientists. It was our willingness to see different approaches as opportunities rather than obstacles. The Meridians' unique abilities and our engineering expertise weren't incompatible. They were complementary. The project had transformed both civilizations. Humans gained deep insights into quantum mechanics and energy manipulation that accelerated their technological development by decades. The Meridians, inspired by human determination, began to look beyond their system for the first time in their long history. But perhaps the most profound change was in how both species viewed the impossible. The Meridians, who had nearly resigned themselves to extinction, discovered a new appreciation for innovation and risk-taking. Humans, often dismissed as reckless by older civilizations, proved that their greatest strength was not just their determination, but their ability to unite others in a common cause. 6 months after the star's stabilization, the United Earth Council held a ceremony to formalize a permanent alliance with the Meridian civilization. The chamber was filled with representatives from both species, their differences now seen as symbols of strength rather than barriers. Sarah Chen, newly promoted to admiral, addressed the gathering. When we first encountered the Meridians, many said their civilization was beyond saving. That the challenge was too great, the differences too vast, the time too short. But humanity has never accepted impossible odds as final answers. We've always believed that the greatest achievements come from facing challenges that others deemed hopeless. She gestured to the holographic display, showing the quantum stabilization array, now a permanent monument to interspecies cooperation. This project proved something we've always known, that the universe's greatest resources aren't rare minerals or advanced technology, but courage, compassion, and the willingness to help others in need. The Meridian High Elder stepped forward, their crystalline form radiating patterns of solemn agreement. We had forgotten what it meant to hope, they transmitted. Your people reminded us that the future is not predetermined, that even the laws of nature can be guided by those with the wisdom and courage to try. As the ceremony concluded, Sarah returned to the Horizon's observation deck, remembering that first contact so many months ago. The Meridian star burned steadily now, its light a constant reminder that some victories resonated far beyond their immediate impact. A young ensign approached her, holding a data tablet. "Admiral, we're receiving signals from 3 other systems. They're all reporting early signs of stellar instability. The Galactic Concordat is specifically requesting human assistance." Sarah smiled. Humanity had come to the stars wondering if they could compete with ancient, advanced civilizations. Instead, they had shown the galaxy a different kind of strength. The power to unite diverse peoples in the face of impossible odds, to turn scientific knowledge into hope, and to prove that the greatest achievements come not from technological superiority, but from the simple determination to help others survive. "Prepare preliminary analysis teams," she ordered, "and contact the Meridian Engineering Corps. It seems we've started something that's bigger than all of us." As the Horizon prepared for its next mission, the quantum stabilization array continued its silent work, a testament to what could be achieved when determination met wisdom, when differences became strengths, and when 2 civilizations united to prove that nothing was truly impossible.